we were saying things that were not based on any fact. I think you are not going to be successful, because the way we became very powerful and very influential on the Coastal Show, and we have such a powerful following, is because we earned a reputation for breaking stories with evidence, in most cases, that eventually turned out to be true. So my brother, just leave that. Let's not do commentary after the fact.
No, Costa, we're not doing commentary after the tax. What I'm trying to bring here, I think you are guest today on this show, and we're trying to go back and we go deep into the process of integrity, the process of accepting record. Listen, I'm not trying to dig beyond and go after and to go bring old wounds out. What I'm trying to say to you moving forward, because yes, what I'm saying is, you spoke fearlessly and lambasted certain elements that is currently in high-profile position in government.
True.
But recently, you did a commentary.
True.
Now you did a commentary trying to pin those people that you lambasted heavily to be good. Now, is it that you're trying to ingratiate yourself now with them now moving forward, or what you said before was just based on anger and not on the facts? That's what I'm trying to just ask you. Now, for instance, the current vice president of our country, you say
yes, opportunity, right?
No, that's not. That's the first. I will go to my.
We're out of time. Let us, yeah.
The current vice president of the country and I had a falling out. I mean, we had a fight, or I started the fight. And I said some things about him that I came back later and I apologized long before he became vice president.
Were they factual?
Listen,
what I came back. Were they factual?
I made a statement that was an innuendo. And I came back and I cleared it up and I said I apologized. Okay. The current vice president of the country and I are not fighting. And if you try to paint the picture that I'm trying to ingratiate myself, I don't want a government job. I do not want it. If President Walker were to appoint me today in his government, I would publicly decline. I do not want a government job. I don't want to work for the government. No, I do not. So I don't need any job from the president.
Do you want to?
No, guys, please.
I don't want a government job.
Okay. I'll go to my second question quick. Too many things to be. I don't have time to ask a question, and maybe probably. I'll go to the second. I'll go to the second question.
I do not want a government job.
Listen. Okay.
I'm looking for money. Look, let me tell you why I don't want a government job. Several reasons, but the primary reason is that government job will not pay me well enough.
Do you want a government?
The kind of money that I want, I can't make it in the government.
Do you want a government?
Unless I steal like some people do. So I don't want a government job because I want to make money. There's no money in government except you steal.
Do you have any money to do?
Yes, I do. I'm doing mining.
I'm trying to.
Yes.
Is the government?
I have licenses. I'm doing mining, and I'm a Liberian citizen. And guess what? And the government did not do me a favor. I'm a Liberian. I'm entitled, and I'm entitled to it. I didn't go and beg anybody for it. In fact, I didn't even go to the president to ask him to give me mining licenses. No, they issued me mining licenses. I have mining licenses currently being processed, and the government is very professional in handling that. No politics has influenced anything whatsoever. The government is not stopping me from doing it, and I'm not begging because I'm a Liberian citizen.
Yeah,
okay, so years and years, and they divorce that spouse, or the spouse divorces them, and they go their separate ways. People join the political movement. They support it. They do everything they can, and one day they get up and they leave. Take the deputy speaker today. Today he's affiliating with the Unity Party government. Take the current vice president, Jeremiah Cohen. He was not always with Unity Party. But you know why? Why do people make such a big noise about Henry? When it comes to Henry Carson making a political decision to leave one camp for another camp, then they vote us on integrity? What sense does that make? It's silly. Now, why I admit that it is silly, or why I say that it is silly, I will also admit that on my part, I acknowledge that the decision to go with my party to the CDC was not my own decision. I did not want to go to the CDC. I publicly said it. I'm not a fan of the CDC. I went to the CDC because I followed my political party, and I think it was a mistake. Yeah, I acknowledged it. I should have sat the election out. You see, people have to understand this. My party is an institution, but I'm Henry Costa with people who looked up to me, who don't care whatever my party does, they do not care. There are people who supported me who are not members of my party. I'm not saying I'm bigger than my party, but only a fool would not acknowledge that Henry Costa's following ranged much greater beyond his party. So when I made a decision to go with my party, was a mistake that I made. I should have started out, because you see, people don't talk much about my party going to CDC. You know what they talk about? Henry Costa. And I hope I don't sound arrogant, but it is the truth. I'm sure you guys can bear me witness. People don't really talk about ALP going to CDC. They say Henry Costa. So they beat on me more than they beat on my party. You know why? Because I was the voice and the face of the Boakai movement. So the people that I rallied to the Boakai cause have every right to be mad at me for abandoning them at the 11th hour. I'm not proud of that decision or that action, because it was not my decision. I followed my party. I was trying to be party disciplined. Robert? And let's not border on integrity. All the people who crisscross political parties here, you say they don't have integrity? In the US where you are, Robert, people leave the Democratic Party today, they join the Republican Party. It happens all over the world. So when it comes to me, then it's different. So then it's about integrity. It had nothing to do with integrity. It was Henry Costa simply following his party to join the CDC. And I should not have done it. I can publicly say here, I should not have followed my party. Because you know what? Because you know what? My support base is greater than my party membership or the rank and file of my party. That is the truth. And I see it now more so now than I even imagined it to be. Because people beat on me. They don't beat on my party.
So let me push back before I ask my second question.
Why would I regret? Look, Robert, when you make a decision, Robert, when you make a decision, whether that decision was your decision originally or not, or a decision that was made for you and you played along or follow along, ultimately Shakespeare said this: all is well that ends well. If CDC had won, maybe I would not have regretted, but CDC was not my choice. Look, I left the Joe Boakai bandwagon in March, well, in April. I didn't join CDC until October 28th. May, June, July, August, September, October, 6 months later before I joined the CDC bandwagon. Now, people, those who try to make it about, okay, Costa went there because of money. Do you think money was not being offered from the very beginning? CDC engaged me directly. I refused to go. Then CDC went and engaged my party. That is what happened. CDC wanted me to go ever since. The moment I left Joe Boakai, CDC wanted me on their side. But I did not go. I did not go in May, in June, in July, in August, in September. It was late October before I went along with my party. So people have to understand here, I did not go for my own interest. I went with my party. And I admit, Robert, that I should not have gone with my party. Because I get beat up on more than my party. And the people who beat up on me, they are right. Because I was their voice. I was their face. It was not my party. My party was not their voice and their face. It was Henry Costa. And so they have every right to hold me to account. I was the commanding general. I led the men and women on the front line. And I abandoned them in the 11th hour. At least what they expected me to do since I left the Boakai bandwagon was to stay neutral. And Robert, no matter how many times or how many ways you ask me this question, I'm not going to change my answer. The honest answer is I was wrong for following my party to CDC. Thank you. And just so you know, CDC will not like me. You know what CDC wanted me to do? They wanted me to renew with them. When I wasn't really with them, they're angry. When you see a lot of CDC will be attacking me because two things they wanted. Either Costa stays with us and blast the government for us, which is never going to happen. I didn't steal your millions with you. Why the hell should I talk for you? I'm not going to do that. I'm no fool. You got George Weah flying private jet all over the place. When we know before he became president, they didn't have that. He got $100 million, but I didn't steal money with you. I'm not Twain. I'm not McGill. Why should you expect me to blast the government for you? I will not do propaganda for the government. I will not lie for the government, but I will also, especially, particularly, not fight for CDC. CDC is an unsophisticated bunch. So they're not good in opposition. They are not good in governance either. So it's up to them. Unity Party is having it easier than CDC had it. Because when we were in opposition, because I no longer consider myself to be in opposition, I am not with the government, but I'm not also against the government. And I support the president.
But you are friend to the government.
Oh, yes, I am a friend to the government. The president is my uncle.
Yeah.
We have a personal relationship.
Yeah.
Yes. And when I have issues, I go to him. I express my concerns to him. I take them directly to him.
Yeah.
But there are things I will publicly speak to. And there is no friction whatsoever. The president does not take offense. Unlike George Weah, where you got to prostrate and worship him or kiss his feet. You don't have to do that with Joe Buckeye. So it's easy to maintain a great relationship with him. But CDC, they are not a sophisticated opposition, period. And I wish them luck. That's their business, but I'm not part of that.
Mr. Gaiman.
Yes. Let's look at the legislative process. Let's look at the legislature. You saw, you admitted yourself that it was the situation in the country was total an embarrassment to the country. Let's discuss the legislative body. Let's look at the entire legislature, and your own honest assessment. I know you are a friend to the government, but let's be honest here. Give me your assessment of the legislature and their function for the past 18 months.
I always held the legislature in very low esteem. They are largely unsophisticated people who are obsessed with making money, cutting deals, rather than focusing on the national agenda. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think the legislature is all out for supporting the executive to do what they are doing. It's all about what they can get. It's a place where people go and just try to push their own agenda, and so the fact that these guys were distracted, they caused this internal crisis that basically held the country hostage for almost a year. Says a lot about them. They don't care. So I hold them in very low esteem, extremely low esteem. I can assure you, I cannot say the same of everybody in the government. I will not defend everybody in the government. I'm not here to defend the government. I'm not even here to defend Joe Buckeye. Joe Buckeye doesn't need me to defend him, but I would speak the truth. And if it is the truth that Joe Buckeye has done a good deed, I will say it. And if it offends people for political reasons, that is their business. But these are the same people who supported George Weah, who was building mansions while they were hungry. And today they complain about hunger. I'm back with you guys. Look, Robert,
you hear me?
Robert, you are not a wealthy man.
No,
but if you became president today, they will make modifications to your modest home that you currently own. That is the way it works.
Right, I agree.
They do that for presidents all over the world.
Okay, I
presidents have certain benefits.
I
Joe
agree.
Buckeye did not. Let me tell you what Mr. Weah did. When Mr. Weah became president, he blocked the road, a major road, the rehab road. Nobody could pass in front of Weah's house. Joe Buckeye is president and lives in the same place. We still pass there. He never blocked the road. So Robert, Joe Buckeye still, I've been in the house. I know the house very well. And I can tell you this, They've done a few modifications, like change some furniture. Come on, he's the president of the republic. His salary can afford furniture, or the government can afford to put furniture in his house.
When the former president, turned over vehicles that were purchased by taxpayer dollars that is not even 2-3 years old. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, look, I don't know the details. And I think LEC is back and the guy is trying to switch because the storm has calmed. I don't know the details about those vehicles, but I heard what the EPS said. The EPS said the presidential motorcade, the two vehicles the president rides in, those vehicles were old and they were about 5 or 6 years old and they needed to be replaced. And they replaced them. And I see some of you guys quoting all kinds of figures. Look, let me tell you something. I know the company that was given the contract to purchase those vehicles. It was a Liberian company. I will not call the company's name. It was a Liberian company. And the company is owned by somebody I know. And those vehicles cost nowhere near $1.2 million. He's a very good friend of mine and a very good friend. He got the contract. I didn't even know until he told me.
So what's the estimate cost?
You know? Huh?
What do you think is the estimate cost of those vehicles, according to your friend? I will not be named.
I don't know. I didn't ask, but he told me this. He said, bro, they are way less than 1.2 million. Are you kidding me? Look, those vehicles, the basic model is $150,000. $160,000. Basic model.
115.
No, it's more than that.
I'm trying to get 115.
I said the basic model, when you buy it, the basic model is $150,000. Then you have to, then they have to bulletproof them, customize them. They have to fit them with armor. That's all they put in it. The only thing they put in those vehicles, the armor plated vehicle. That's all they did. They didn't do anything else. All the other things people are saying that they did, they didn't do those things. So those vehicles, each of those vehicles, if you're talking, and I did some research, how much does it cost to armor plate or to bulletproof, let's use the Liberian way we say it, a vehicle of that size? And it's nothing more than $150,000. Nothing more than $150,000. So each of those vehicles could have cost something around $300,000. But again, gentlemen, the EPS said the old fleet, the old vehicles, presidential vehicles were old and they needed to be replaced. So now and guess what? The decision to procure those vehicles was not made by Joe Boakai. It was made by the EPS because they saw a fit to replace the presidential motorcade of presidential vehicles. Those vehicles cost no more than $300,000 per vehicle. And it was not Joe Boakai's. Look, let me tell you something. When the president used to go to the States, I used to drive the president around in my little Barbie Solo, my little old Range Rover.
The Lexus or the Porsche? Which one?
No, my Range Rover.
Oh yeah.
But the president did not mind. As long as it was comfortable, it didn't break down on the road. This is not a man that cared about luxury.
He didn't have money then, so he had no choice.
The point about it, he had never really cared about those things. This man was vice president before. And he was not a man, he didn't build mansion. He was vice president for 12 years. He didn't build a mansion. Look, guys, I'm not defending Joe Boakai. I'm just being honest. The fact here is, we saw a man, and this is one of the things that made a lot of people gravitate towards him. We saw a man who had been in the corridors of power for so many years and did not accumulate wealth at the expense of the country. We didn't witness that. Name one property Boakai has bought somewhere. By this time, we as administration, he had built condominiums everywhere, bought a home in Paris. His son was arrested in Paris for having parties and bringing prostitutes and playing loud music because we had bought a $2 million house in some rich neighborhood in Paris. It was out there. You're not going to hear this about Jojo Boakai. I dare you. Jojo Boakai is afraid of his father. He's never going to be in all kinds of shady things because they are afraid of their father. So I will not sit here to defend Joe Boakai. It is not my job, but I'll speak the truth.
Thank you.
I'm told President Boya got to the point where he said, I don't want it. And that's why he's been flying commercial for several months now. But that's not George Weah. George Weah went to Qatar for the World Cup, spent 48 days, and took $1.5 million to go watch his son play football. So there's no way, Nimsek, you can compare these two individuals. Absolutely no way, Nimsek. So the government needs to do a lot to create jobs, Nimsek. They're slow. They're very slow. They need to create jobs. I know they're making the Security Council seat is a big deal, but it doesn't put bread and butter on the table. I think the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who is my own sister, a big sister from the same church, Zion Grove Baptist Church, she needs to focus on commercial diplomacy, economic diplomacy. Go and be begging companies all over the world to come invest in this country, and rather than soliciting votes to get a Security Council non-permanent member seat that will really not solve the bread and butter issues that we have here. So I'm not going to sit here and say everything is rosy, but there's just no way you can speak of George Weah and Joe Boakai in the same breath. They're two distinct individuals. So Nimsek, your Deacon Baptist brother, Joe Boakai, is far better than George Weah.
Are you talking about deacon? Or are you talking about pastor? But let me.
But you pastor the man a deacon. No, I'm Baptist.
No,
Good for you. And I'm a Baptist too.
Another president who was pastor, President we are too, you know. But let me move on. Let me ask you this question. I just want to find out. You've been in politics, you know. Do you think CDC still remain a powerful opposition? Do you see President Weah coming back strong in the next election?
Absolutely yes. Look, let me tell you something. George Weah defies the odds. He has a cult following. He got a bunch of colleagues, people who just follow him. They don't care what he does or doesn't do. They don't care. He's like Donald Trump in that regard. If Weah runs today, if the elections were held today, Mr. Weah would be in a runoff election automatically. If elections were held today. But can he win? I don't think Mr. Weah can win. Mr. Weah, I'm coming, Nimsek. Mr. Weah has a curse. He can win runoff election. The only one he ever won was the one that was organized by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. His own runoff election that he organized, he lost. The man can win runoff election. And here is why. He lost a runoff election to a broke and poor Unity Party alliance when he was a sitting president. Do you think this guy, when he shall have exhausted a lot of the money he stole, flying private jet and having himself a jolly good time for the next 5 years, when he comes back in 2000, they're already doing pay a due rally. We ain't gonna know why they're already asking the poor members whom they couldn't create jobs for to pay dues. While he's flying private jet, they will pay dues. So do you think that guy is gonna come back and win a runoff? When he was sitting president, organized the election, couldn't win a runoff. The reason why Mr. Weah will not win a runoff is very, very simple, Nimsek. Is because every time George Weah runs, the people, George Weah will pick up about 30-35% of the votes. But when they get to the runoff, the 60 or 70% of the voters who did not vote for George Weah in the runoff, 95% or 90% of those people will not vote for George Weah. They're going to vote for the person that faces off with Weah in the runoff. That is why Weah finds it difficult to win an election. With Ellen's help in 2017, that's why he won. With his own help, on his own watch, he lost. So Mr. Weah, I would not bet on him. I will put my money on somebody else who may be far less popular than George Weah. But I will not bet on George Weah to come back to power in 20. In fact, I will put my money on a third viable option who is formidable, who can muster a lot of resources and build a powerful machinery than George Weah. Because Weah is like the guy who will take you to the water side or can't cross the water with you.
Who would that be?
I don't know.
Alice Cummings?
But time will tell.
Alice Cummings?
Yeah, thank you, Nimsek.
I do not know. I'm not writing anybody off. I'm not writing anybody off, but I will not put my money on George Weah.
So, Barry, you done?
We're making we run off.
Let me go my last question, Nimsek.
who go support the man are president, man can win one up. The man look at me and told me say Pedro, I mean, man can't talk up, my man, we're winning the team. We're winning the team. The man can win one up.
That be all that took on you.
That's the
Wait.
day I wore my big African shirt, right?
No doubt.
Don't tell that on the radio. We're on national radio, man.
Wow. Yeah, it's
Really,
it.
I'm done.
Peabody, without all the other question there, so you know, because I already call the man Nise. So you can that band and Nise.
No, man, but I the whole thing about the man on my knees and my back to brother and all.
The band is there now. Nise, then Nise are the friend.